and welcome to Find It on this Wednesday evening. We are live. I missed you guys. I was not live last week. I actually had a recording of another live. So I am live tonight, and tonight I have the sweetest and most intelligent, beautiful lady. I can call her a lady now. I've known her since she was knee-high to a grasshopper. Meghan Ray, which is also difficult for me to not say, Meghan Martin. But she is married now, and her name is Meghan Ray. She is a registered nurse. She is a wife, mother, friend, and she is the founder of a memorial. And that's why she's here, is to deliver a very important message that she would like to help other people through this memorial. We're going to hear more about that, more about Meghan in just a minute. So hang tight. We'll show her video. Hello, Meghan.
Hey, Deb, how are you?
I'm great. It's so good to see your face. And sometimes I do look at you and think, I still see the little girl, even on the track running. You're in sports, and you always were so determined. And I can remember watching you race and play sports and thinking, wow, this girl's got it together. Like, you are a driven girl. But now I know you're a woman, you're all grown up, and you're married, and you have kids of your own. And so I would love for you to tell everybody what your career is. What do you do?
Yeah, so I am a registered nurse.
Yep.
I have previously worked in oncology. I spent the majority of my nursing career working in labor and delivery, which was my favorite job, definitely my calling. And now I have a really good nurse mom job where I work from home, and I work for an insurance company to be a case manager. And I just get to talk to people on the phone about their health, just kind of their overall wellness. And but I get to be home and present with my kids. So
I was going to ask you, with 2 children now and being a registered nurse and all that comes with that, how you handle work-life balance. So
yeah.
is that why you decided to take this job?
Yeah, totally. I worked 7 years in the hospitals. I worked 2 years, like I said, oncology, and then I worked 5 years in labor and delivery. I worked night shift. I worked about an hour away from home, so I had to commute, and it just got to be a lot. It really wore on me, and my work-life balance was totally out of whack, not where it should have been, and I realized that. And when this really awesome opportunity came to me, and I got to take it, and I knew it was the right thing to do right now with my 2 little kids. And my number one job is to be their mom. So I love being a nurse, but mom comes first.
I believe you, and that is so true, right? True, and that's how it should be. But how is it with what your husband does for a living? Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So my husband's a police officer. He works for our local sheriff's department. And he actually works really good hours now. I can't complain. He works a Monday through Friday position. So he's home pretty much all the time. He does do some extra stuff here and there where he's gone. Like tonight he was gone working. But it was really crazy for a while. We've been through every stage of it together. So we got through it. But it's interesting. You can say that.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, I would say that dinner conversations about your day at work with a nurse and a police officer would be pretty something.
Well, they get fun. Yeah, they get fun, man. Like, we've got some crazy stories to tell, and but we both love what we do. So, it's been good, and we're figuring it out how to be able to do what we love to do, but at the same time be there for each other, our marriage, our kids, our families, like everything that we need to do. We're figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say too, your mom, her name is Mindy, and your mom is a school teacher at Bishop Leger, and she had both of my children in 2nd grade. And then your dad has DJ'd events for me, and I know your whole family, and I love you guys. And I also know that you're on here to share your story about something very difficult that you and your family had gone through. And I just kind of want to give the floor to you to talk about, like, how old were you, and the course of the events, and then your loss, of course. If you want to tell us, if it, I know this has got to be extremely difficult, but I also know you're doing this to help other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I usually tell everybody, it's always helped me to like tell my story and be able to share it. It's been part of my healing process, part of my therapy, that kind of thing. So I may be more, I'm maybe more outgoing about it than some people are, but
Mhm.
I think that's kind of what like motivated everything to like start our, memorial group and all of that. So, yeah, I guess let's see, it was 2000 and let me think about it. 2015, I graduated nursing school, and that was early 2015. I graduated nursing school.
You know what? I'm gonna
Um,
interrupt you for a second because I
mhm.
just thought of something.
Yeah,
You went to Ohio State,
I did.
didn't you? And didn't you get a scholarship?
Hmm. I
So
did.
this is what we're dealing with. I just want everyone to know, to even get into Ohio State is extremely difficult, but then you got a scholarship. I don't remember what kind of scholarship, but you got a pretty nice size scholarship
I
and went.
did.
I remember you getting that, and I was so proud of you. So, okay, sorry. So you went to Ohio State and you graduated from nursing school. Okay.
I did. I did. So, let's see. I interviewed for my nursing job right after I graduated at the James, because I worked at Ohio State at the James Cancer Hospital in oncology. But I interviewed for my job. Found out that same week I was pregnant,
Oh,
and accepted my job. And I was like, so hey everybody, thank you, I'll take the position. And I just like started bawling because I was like, I'm pregnant, what am I going to do? Like, I'm starting my career, it was crazy. A lot of shock and a lot of adjustment. I went straight into working night shift, brand new career, new nurse, pregnant, with a tough pregnancy, just a lot of morning sickness and all that. um so that was like spring of 2015. I was due in December of 2015, with our daughter Aubreigh. We found out we were having a girl, and in the summer we were super excited. And everything was fine. I had a healthy pregnancy as far as I knew. All my scans were fine. I went to all my appointments. Everything was looking good. We got to October, and I went in for an appointment one day, and there was no heartbeat. Which those are the words that are hard for a lot of people, because that's a lot of times that's the first thing you hear. The doctor will look at you and say there's no heartbeat. And they did further scans and things, and they really weren't sure what was going on. But um, Zach was with me at that appointment. My husband, Zach, that's his name. um, he was there, and we had the greatest doctor. He's still my doctor. I love him to death, Dr. David Bell. He's so close to my heart. And he took us into his office, and he was like, I'm so sorry. Everybody was crying. It was crazy. Like, it's a really, I mean, the hardest day of my life up to that point. And he said, it's up to you what you want to do. I was 30 weeks long. I should say that. So about 7.5 months pregnant. October, I was due in December. So, everybody kind of thinks like after your first trimester or 12 weeks, you're in the clear. Like, which your risk of miscarrying and, losing your baby, it does go down after 12 weeks for a lot of people. So, you don't really think like, oh my gosh, like we're going to have to deal with this. And it catches a lot of people off guard. Obviously, it caught us off guard. And I think through my nursing career too, I saw that, like, people were like, I didn't think it would be me. Like, that's what I said. Like, why us? I'm healthy. I was trying to do everything right, being pregnant, eating what I was supposed to, not what I wasn't, that kind of thing. And it was just kind of crazy. So we had to go into the hospital. I went in that night, and I was induced, and delivered our Aubreigh the next morning. She was perfect when she came out. She was tiny. She was only the size of like a 23-week-old baby, so she had stopped growing. We didn't know it because my scans, I had them like 10 weeks before that, and she was fine at that point. So they think she stopped growing at 23 weeks. It was later found when they sent everything off for testing, my placenta and everything, that there was a blood clot in my placenta. And just a freak thing. Nothing they knew was coming. They couldn't see it through like testing at that point. It was just what they found. So yeah, she was delivered, and we were in shock. It was all a blur kind of at
So
that
you
point.
had found out the day before.
Yeah.
There was just a day in between. That had to have been difficult too,
Oh my
knowing
gosh. Yeah.
that she had passed and that you still had her with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And you actually, as long as, so, you think about like back in the days before they knew with ultrasounds and things, like a mom can carry a baby that's passed for a while, like you may not know it's passed. And obviously there hasn't always been the ability to do an induction. So the doctor gave me the option. He said, it's up to you. Like some moms like to carry their babies, and just as long as they can, he said, or we can induce and we can deliver her. So we did. We went home. We were in Columbus because my doctor's in Columbus, about an hour away. We went home, had to get the dog taken care of, and just regular normal life stuff, like packed our bags for the hospital because we didn't have hospital bags packed. And we actually stopped at church. My mom had called our priest, Father Hummer, and he wanted to see us right away. And our faith is a big part of our lives. And our Father Hummer had been there for us. He had married us. He had seen us grow up. He was here for such a long time in Chillicothe, and he took us in, and he counseled us, and told us that that she was with God, and it was just it was a really nice stop to make. At first I was like, I don't know if I want to go see Father Hummer right now. But he was amazing. And
it ended up being a good move to go see him prior.
Yeah, it did. And then we headed up to the hospital. So
wow. Okay, so I'm going to show a picture right now, and you gave this to me and said that I could share it.
Yep.
And so this is Aubreigh's foot. And it says, there is no foot too small that cannot leave an imprint on this world. That is actually a picture of her foot.
Yep.
And then this was you, I believe, in the hospital with her.
Yep.
So now, Meghan, it says, I am 1 in 4 Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. Are you telling me 1 in 4 is the number of infant
losses? Yeah. So every 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in a loss of some sort. Whether that,
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's huge. I mean, it's huge. And that counts as any baby before 20 weeks, which is considered a miscarriage. Any baby born after 20 weeks is considered stillborn. And then it also includes babies who are alive for a short time and they're still infants, and then they pass from complications or whatever. So yeah, 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in a loss.
Okay. So now, so having it even explained to me even further, understanding that even in the first trimester, they're counting those pregnancies as well. Not to discount that. I also had, I had a miscarriage, but it was like right at the 3-month or less. So, and that was difficult. So when this happened to you, I remember thinking, oh my God, how's she ever going to get through it? So that leads me to my next question. What steps did you take personally? Because everyone's on their own journey when they have loss. For sure. And everyone makes their own decisions based on whether they want to induce and have it or carry it through. I totally understand that. But for you, you went ahead and went the next day and you induced and you had Aubreigh. And then where did you go from there, Meghan?
I guess, where did I go from there? I started leaning on everybody I could. I'm fortunate enough to have an incredible support system from, my husband. Zach he's literally a rock. I mean, he kind of looks like the Rock, like he's a big guy and all,
Yeah, he is.
big tough guy, but he's tough on the inside too. And he was, you know, the biggest support, obviously. And we went through it together, and he was grieving, but I could always feel I was his priority of making sure I was okay. And then you go to, my family, like, well, my family, they're the best.
Yeah.
And, everybody just came together, and then, extended family and friends. And we are so fortunate to live in the community that we do, that everybody comes together like a family, and people start coming to you that you had no idea. And they're like, I've been through this too. If I'm here to talk, like, let's talk. What do you need? What can we do for you? I mean, we leaned on those people. Like, I had to use every support that reached out, and just to stay above water, because there were some days it was like getting out of bed was not even possible. Like, it was awful.
And
We
then
just
do you also, I'm assuming, I mean, you have all these hormones going through your body too through
yeah,
pregnancy.
yeah,
And then to have the baby, you're probably also I mean, you are postpartum, and
yeah.
you're probably going through the natural stuff that
Mhm.
if you would have gone full term,
Yeah.
which you really were, I mean, almost full term, let's
We were close. Yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah.
So you also had that to deal with. So you have the hormonal stuff from
Oh
being
my gosh.
pregnant and
Yeah.
then having the loss.
Yeah.
So, was there anything that anybody could say that really helped?
Um, it's kind of funny because people really don't know what to say with
Yeah,
this
it's
situation.
difficult, right?
Like, if you lose and as an adult, if you lose a parent or a family member or something, people are more comfortable with, like, I'm so sorry. Your dad was a great person, like that kind of thing. People have no idea what to say, and some people don't say anything. Um, some people say stuff that they don't realize they shouldn't say. Um, but I think the best thing is if somebody just says, I'm here. Like, I'm here
Mhm,
for you, whatever you need. Let me know. Like,
mhm.
because, and there are people that say, I have no idea how you're feeling. I can't say I do. And I love those people that are the most raw and honest, that are just like,
Okay.
I'm here for you. So
Yeah,
that's my
because,
best
I mean,
advice
we
to
can't pretend if we've not gone through it, we can't
Yeah.
pretend to understand
Yeah.
that we're gonna be able to say something that's gonna make you
Hmm.
feel better because it's something you probably just had to go through the the hours, the days, the
Oh,
weeks, the months.
yeah.
So at what point did you get, you know so wait, first of all, how many years later or how long later did you
Mhm.
have your first child? Your
So,
first living child?
yeah, we had Eva, our Eva Hope, that's her name. We had her December of the next year. So Aubreigh was born October of 2015, and then we had Eva in December of 2016. So it was kind of
So
crazy because I kind of like redid my whole pregnancy again. Like, I got pregnant at the same time the next year. Like,
oh, wow.
um, yeah, so it was kind of crazy in that manner because I was going through every stage at the same time as I did with Aubreigh, but with Eva, and ended up fortunately have a very healthy pregnancy and healthy baby at the end. So yeah, it was just a little over a year between Aubreigh and Eva's birthdays.
Wow. What did that do you feel like getting pregnant again quickly helped you? Or what did the doctors do to ensure that everything was okay? Because I'm sure every mother is nervous when they're pregnant that everything's going okay.
Yeah,
Going through what you had gone through and then
yeah.
getting pregnant, that had to escalate the emotions and the fear. What
Mhm.
what did you do through that time?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was nuts. You can ask anybody that's close to me. It was not easy. And I think it's fair to say, to throw in there too, it wasn't just me who went through all this. Um,
It
you
was
know,
everybody that
like
loves you.
everybody, like Zach, my parents, my grandparents, like, you
Sure.
know, my, like siblings, like, we were all doing it together. But I think that, it was, I leaned on my faith a lot, and, the faith and the people and my doctors. And I guess medically what they did, since they had found the blood clot in my placenta, they treated me with blood thinner injections, Lovenox injections, that you get sometimes like after surgery or if you're in the hospital like that, to help prevent blood clots.
Okay.
So I had to give myself a shot every day, once a day,
Wow.
in
I did
my,
not realize that.
my abdomen. Yeah. So those don't feel good. Those feel like you get stung by a wasp every time you
Oh,
give yourself one.
shoot.
So yeah, it was, a small price to pay in order to
Well,
have a healthy
that's
baby.
true. That's true.
But yeah, so I did that, and I had a total of 30 doctor's appointments when I was pregnant with Eva. I saw my regular OB, and then I also saw maternal fetal medicine. And I had ultrasound after ultrasound over and over. They were watching growth. They were watching blood flow. They were testing the blood flow between the baby and me with ultrasound. Just anything they could possibly do. And like, I kind of joke about it. I don't, probably not the best thing, but I did do it. I would drink caffeine. I would eat sugar to make sure Eva never stopped moving inside me.
Oh,
So
Megan, I
I know.
understand that. I know.
She's okay. I wouldn't say she's like hyperactive or anything, but I did kind of feel bad. But I just never let her hold still. Like the poor thing would probably try to sleep, and I would be like poking at her, like,
Yeah,
"Hey, keep
you would
thinking."
be
Like,
your heightened level of nerves, like, "Oh my gosh, please be okay." And the doctor's
yeah,
appointments, well,
mhm,
that's a lot. You probably loved going to those doctor's appointments to get the,
yeah,
"Okay, check, we're still good. We're still
yeah,
good."
I did. And I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
Zach went to every single appointment with me. There may have, I don't even know if there was one that he missed in that pregnancy. He was there, whether it was, a big ultrasound or just a simple like belly check, and you're
Yeah,
on your
you
way.
just
So
wanted to make sure that you had someone with you if anything
yeah,
was
yeah,
gone.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So you then, at what point, okay, so wait, then Eva was born, and then what's the age difference between
Mhm.
Eva and your son?
Yeah, so they are 3.5 years apart.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a
So,
picture of you
Eva
2.
is December.
Oh my goodness! Big
I love
sister,
that picture.
little brother.
Yes, my mom snapped that picture right
Now
when
I'm
we came
telling
home
you,
from
that
heaven.
Mindy's a keeper.
Oh, she is. She's really good at capturing pictures. Like, sometimes we give her a hard time for it, but we are grateful for them.
So they're a little more than 3 years apart.
Yes, like almost 3.5 years exactly, because he's born in
Okay.
June. He was born in June of 2020. He was my COVID baby.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
man, I didn't even put that together. You're right, that's funny. I
Yeah.
bet there's a lot of COVID babies.
Oh, there were so many. I mean, I was working in labor and delivery at that time. So, I
Yeah.
worked through the pandemic, pregnant. Um, yeah, I did end up going off work a little bit early. I had some high blood pressure issues with him. Nothing crazy by any means, just where I had to be resting, and they were, I was contracting a lot. I was trying to go into labor early. Common theme among healthcare workers when you're pregnant is to develop, problem. I wouldn't say problems, but
Like
yeah.
hypertension kinda? And, like,
Mhm. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
and you
do,
guys
just
have a,
because.
and especially during that time, it was,
Mhm.
I mean, my gosh, thank you for your service again. I know I had told you that before, but, like, the nurses were the front lines and the doctors,
Mhm.
and, you saw a lot and a lot of loss, and you had to
Mhm.
stay strong, and there you were pregnant in a
Yeah.
position, but he was born healthy, so
Yeah.
they're amazing, and how blessed you are. But at what point then did you do the next thing to help other people? I want you to start talking about that and what you do, because you co-founded the memorial. Let's talk
Yep.
about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I had Mickey in June of 2020. It was COVID. Um, that the spring before that, my good friend Samantha Davis,
Mhm.
she had lost her son Gabriel. She was pregnant with him, and suffered a loss herself. And she came to me like the end of the summer of 2020. And the first thing she asked me was, hey, do you know of any like 5Ks or walks or, anything we can do for our babies that we lost? And I was like, you know what? I said, I've looked into it before and I've really never found anything, and at least nothing local. Like it was hard
Mhm.
to even find anything in Ohio because, we were like, oh, we could go wherever and run a 5K or, do whatever. And we couldn't find anything. So, that's when I got the idea, and I said, Sam, like, what do you think? Like, do you want to start a 5K and a family walk here in town? And, to bring awareness to pregnancy and infant loss and to remember our babies and honor them. And she said, yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And that is how a Run to Remember, which is our annual event in October, started off. We started off that year during COVID. It was outside, so we felt that we could safely do it in distance. And we had a great turnout, even with COVID, just because a lot of people are just our support systems who came together to support us, our family, our friends, who show up year after year. But there were other people, and that's actually where we met Emily Gillespie, who is now our third partner in the Aubreigh Gabriel. She came to run. She's a big runner. And she had just lost her Henry earlier that year. So yeah, we started that year, and we took all of the money that we raised that year, and it went to an organization called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which is the photography organization. So the pictures that you saw of me holding
I'm gonna
Aubrey.
put this back up, and I want you
Yeah.
to talk about that,
Yeah.
again. Is it with all of them, this with you, okay?
So that picture was taken by the late Victoria Schaefer. She was a family friend of ours. She photographed our wedding, had been there for us through everything, and she just happened to be and Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep photographer. So these photographers are volunteers. They're like on call. So the hospital will call them and say, hey, we had a family that came in and they had a baby and they would like pictures taken. So that's what we did with Victoria. My mom called her. The hospital didn't have to. And she came up and did a beautiful photo shoot for us to be able to have forever, because you only have so little time with your baby. But she captured those moments. So yeah, that picture, and she did the one with the foot, Aubrey's foot. She did that for us. Traditionally, the pictures from Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep are all done in black and white. Just because sometimes when babies who have passed, their skin and their bodies can look a little like not so hot. Yeah, for lack of better words. But she was able, like Aubrey was so perfect. She was able to get some of those pictures in color and send them to me on the side. So we took all our money from the run that first year, and we donated it to Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, because that was so important to be able to have those. And we wanted other families to be able to have those like we do as mementos for our babies so that we can remember.
So the memorial, so you do this every year. How do people get involved with that, Megan?
Yeah. So we took off that year, and it really took off even with COVID. The next year we continued to do the walk and the run again. And after we just kept becoming more successful, we said, let's turn this into an actual like memorial foundation. We're not quite like a nonprofit per se, because we're not that big, but it's like that. And we take donations. That's our big fundraiser every year, is the walk and the run. But we take donations at any time. Now it's super easy because we can do it through Venmo and, whatever. But all the money that we raise now, after that first year, Sam and I came together and we talked about it, and we were like, this was a great thing to send it to, but how can we keep this money more personal, more local? Most of the time it's not always local. It doesn't have to be, but I said to Sam, and she experienced the same thing too. I think there were people that just like reached out to us and gave us money when we lost a baby, which, I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about, but like they would just be like, here, take this for whatever you need. Like, we know there's expenses related to this, which there are. I mean, you've got hospital bills, you have burial expenses, if you're going to have a funeral, or Any of that. You have therapy expenses because
Sure.
you need therapy after this. It's quite traumatic. And then just things like, I just remember like wanting to get out of town, like just go away for a weekend, away from people that just be able to go out and try to enjoy yourself like a normal person, because you go out in a small town and like you run into somebody always. That's just how it goes. And so we decided that we would take the money that we raise, and it all goes back to families who we are notified of who lose a baby. And we send out care packages that include like support, resources. We send out a book that's called It's Not Supposed to Be This Way. And we used to actually give that out in the hospital too. That's how I knew about it. And it's just a really good book for families to read for some support. But we also include a monetary donation in every care package. And
that way they can use it for however they feel that they need it. Yeah.
Yes. And we put a note in there to everybody, and that's what we say, like, whatever you need this for, whether it is the hospital bills, the burial expenses, if you just want to take it and go to, I don't know, Chuck E. Cheese with their other kids or something for, the weekend, or Great Wolf Lodge, or, go away with your husband for a weekend, like take it and do that. We don't care what you do with it. We want you to have it for what you need. Because it was.
Were you surprised after this? I mean, you mentioned it, but are you surprised of how much loss you find through this Memorial Foundation in our area of people that lose an infant like that?
Oh,
like
yeah,
probably more than we even know. I mean, people aren't going to advertise it.
No. And it's, and I would say probably, I don't have the number. I should have the number. We've talked about this, about how many babies we've been able to help, or how many families we've been able to help. It's
So,
quite
and almost going on 4 years, you have helped a lot of families. I mean, like more than 20.
Oh yeah. I would say probably in the ballpark of 40 to 50.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's just guessing. I could look it up. I mean, we keep track of everything that we
Yes.
do, but, yeah. And I would say probably 95% of those were local.
Wow.
Yeah, there's
Wow.
been some that we've mailed out, that so-and-so is like, hey, my cousin that lives wherever, they lost a baby, and that's fine. Like, we don't,
Have you ever thought about expanding? Because if you guys had actually looked in Ohio, and it was even difficult to find something like that even in Ohio, have you ever thought about, working with other mothers that have had losses, maybe mothers in Columbus, to start one there, and to do one in Cincinnati, and I mean, it would be something. I mean, it's such a worthwhile memorial, and to give back to families that might not get the resources or attention that they need after a loss like this. It's like, what do you do? And it's just like you to though say, well, we can't find one, so let's make one. And so I want to put the picture up that you gave me. Is this the one? Okay, so name these people.
Yeah. So, in the hat is Emily Gillespie.
Okay, she's the newest member.
She is. So, she came on board with us really like within the past couple years. And this year, like really big. She helped us, like I said, she's a runner. So she helped us build up the run portion of our events, and brought in so many more runners this year, like had things like planned out and mapped out for the run so much better than we had, because Sam and I are not runners. We wish we were. We always said we're going to be, but we're just not. But Emily is, and she's been such a huge contribution to everything. We're really excited to have her on board.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then Sam is on the other side of me, Samantha Davis. And, we had been friends for quite a while before all of this even came about. Our husbands used to work together. And she just, like, Sam is the person who we wouldn't be the Aubreigh Gabriel without Sam. She's she's the one who she puts so much into our event and our fundraising, like stuff I don't even think of. I mean, this girl thinks of every single detail. She has everything covered. Like, I mean, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like, I never would have thought about that. Like, she's such a huge part. I say that she's like the majority of this. Like, she
No.
won't say that. She said, and we balance each other out well
Yeah.
with what we do, but it's just
Well, it obviously is now it's the three amigas,
yeah, yeah,
and there's something about having that camaraderie with you guys. Well, number one, y'all know what each other have gone through.
yeah,
You're all women and you're doing something together, and that feels good, to
yeah,
have, even though one may at certain times do more than the other, you
yep,
always have each other to lean on too. I love that you're doing this and that you have been doing this and you plan to continue,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
there's no stopping. I wanted to also talk, let me put this back up because I didn't even realize if you look at the butterfly with the ribbon in the middle, um, you explained to me that, first of all, that ribbon is for infant loss.
Yep,
It's blue and pink, but anytime
yep,
I don't know why I only associated ribbons with cancer, but you
yeah,
said, no, it's for any loss.
yeah.
They
Any
sew 'em.
cause that you're like remembering, honoring, memorializing, you can use that ribbon for. And like when I worked in the hospital in labor and delivery, on my badge, I always had a little pink and blue ribbon that I hung on there. And some people recognized it, like they knew
They knew what it was.
knew
Now
the
you
business.
were in labor and delivery after your loss.
Yeah. So
How was that?
oh, it was awesome. I always knew I wanted to work labor and delivery. Like I said, I worked in oncology at the time that I had Aubreigh. But when I was in the hospital, even having her, I was still fascinated by everything. Like, I was devastated. But the nurse in me and the medical person was like, I was like talking to my nurse. I'm like, talk me through this. Like, I'm kind of fascinated by this, like how
Mhm.
the science and the medical part of it. And I had told the nurse, I was like, I always have wanted to work labor and delivery. Like, I know that that's where I want to end up. But at that point I was like, I need to have a healthy baby before I come and work labor and delivery because I don't think I could do it if I don't.
Okay.
So then I had Eva in the same hospital. Year later, I was actually in labor, and the nurse manager came around because she was the most wonderful person. She did bedside rounds herself, introduced herself, like got me a cup of ice chips or something. I don't know. She was amazing. And my nurse that was taking care of me was like, "Hey, Megan's a nurse, and she's always said she wanted to work labor and delivery." And the nurse was like, "Oh my God, we're hiring. Like, I know you're a little busy right now, but like, if you want to go online during maternity leave and fill out an application, like, let me know. Like, here's my phone number. Keep in touch with like Robin, another friend of mine who was a nurse there." And I was like, "Okay, great." Well, I did that, and at the end of my maternity leave, I went back to my job for a short time, and then I left and I went to the hospital where I delivered my babies and joined labor and delivery.
Okay, so I was trying to remember how that was, and
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay, so you going back after having Eva would
Hmm.
totally, and having a healthy baby
Yep.
would be okay. For a second, I was thinking you went to labor and delivery after losing yours, and that would be
Yeah.
excruciating to me.
Yeah.
While you're so happy for everyone else, it just
Yeah.
reminds you of your loss. So good. Okay, so you had Eva, and then you went there.
Yep.
Well, I wanna bring up a picture of, Eva, and she's laying on rainbow cloth. What is that all about?
Yeah. So she's our rainbow baby. And she will tell you that she's all about it. She loves rainbows.
That's all.
And yeah, so a rainbow baby, there's lots of people who have no idea what it is a baby that is born, a healthy baby that's born after a loss of a baby. So, there'll be people that will say like, "Oh, this is our rainbow baby." And that means that they had a loss before that. And this was their first healthy baby afterwards.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. When you
Yeah.
sent me this picture and you said, "She's my rainbow baby," I thought, "Well, I
Mhm.
definitely am gonna have to ask why."
Yeah.
I need to know. And I didn't know that. Wow, that's good information. And
Yeah, so this
so,
girl's been decked out in rainbows since she was born.
yeah.
This was also another picture taken by Victoria Schaefer. She did Eva's newborn photos, and
Yes.
this was all her creation. She was incredible.
She was really brilliant, a
Yeah,
really brilliant
yep,
artist, photographer.
yeah, for sure.
But, I have enjoyed this because I know you're helping people and something good came out of your loss by what you're doing, you and the other ladies. And so we can all appreciate that and get inspired by you that in loss, it'll never feel good that you lost your first baby, but
Mhm,
you have done so much since to help other families. And are people able locally, if they're listening, are
mhm.
they able to go? Do you have a website for the Gabriel Memorial? Or
Yeah,
that's a mouthful.
it
Um, or they could even find you on Facebook
yep.
and communicate with you that way. How can people find it?
Yeah, so we do everything pretty much through Facebook. If you go on there and you type Aubreigh Gabriel Memorial, it comes up and you can join our page. After you join our page, there's a little bit on there. Like you scroll through and you can see things about us, about our events. Our Venmo's listed on there. Like I said, we always take donations as people hear about us and they'll be like, oh, how can I
Mhm.
help? Well, this is what you could do, because we give
That's
it all back to families who suffer losses, and unfortunately it's way too often than people realize.
mm. Well, the Aubreigh Gabriel Memorial
Hmm.
and Meghan Ray is on Facebook, and you can definitely click in there and give a donation. Or if you've had a loss and you want
Yeah.
a support group, then
Yes.
join that page. Wow, what a great
Yes.
resource, Megan. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you can always, and they can reach out to us. We have email addresses on there. Like, I mean, we'll give out our phone numbers if there's somebody that
Sure.
needs to talk or wants to text or anything. I mean, we're here for it because we had people that did that for us, and we just, we want to keep giving what we can for, people who are going through the hardest time of their lives, most likely. So,
That's amazing. Well, because the show's called Find It, you're not going to get out of my last question that I ask every guest.
okay.
And so, the show, since it's called Find It. So, in your life, what have you
Mhm.
found that you can share with us to help inspire us to find it too?
What have I found? I have found that even in the darkest days and the hardest days, um, I can't even remember who said this to me, but it sticks with me all the time. And I think about it daily almost, and especially if I'm having a bad day or a hard day, because I still do. I mean, everybody does, but you know, even even being like 8 years later now, after losing Aubrey, it's still hard. So what I found was that the sun always sets on every day, and the sun always rises on a new day. So you can make it through your day. That day is going to end, and you get a chance, Lord willing, to wake up the next day and have a better day, or just try again.
Mm,
And that that's that's what I found is that
yes. In hard times, the sun will rise and you can try again.
yep.
And, Megan, you've always been, even as a very young girl, you've always been kind of logical too. You know what I mean? Like you always have. And you've always been so strong-willed. Like that's why I mentioned in the beginning, like when I'd watch you play sports, you were driven and you were trying to win. And you didn't just half do anything. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
you
a little
played
competitive.
very competitive, you played with passion. Your schoolwork, you were brilliant. You got a scholarship to Ohio State and went to nursing school. And so there's a theme here with you. And so then, you're doing all these things that take so much energy and strength. And then you have gone through what you've gone through. And now you made it through, and we all can. It's difficult, but
Mm,
you're a tough cookie. and I just admire you so, so much. And it's like you to go through such a hard time and come out and start something to share with other people, to help other people, is what I'm trying to say. So thank you for that. You are a gem. You're a sassy gem. Let's just be real. And
Thank you.
is there anything else that you would like to say that I haven't asked you that you would like to share with the audience? Or you?
Um, the only other thing that comes to mind is, I feel like I've tried to put as much of a positive spin on this as I could tonight, because I don't want to come on here and just bring everybody down and make it sound like super sad show, because that's not what I'm about. I try to be a positive person, but again, ask the people who are super close to me, and not always happens. So I guess I just want people to realize, like, if you suffer a loss or any tragedy or anything you go through, like, it's okay not to be okay. And you're not always going to be, like, oh my gosh, like the mental health,
Mhm,
things that I've gone through since then
mhm.
are extreme. I mean, and I want people to reach out. Like, you can reach out to us as resources of support, but, like, please don't be afraid to speak out. I didn't speak out about my mental health for too long, kind of like what you said. Like, I try to be a really tough cookie. Like, I try to be strong. I tried, I said after we lost Aubreigh, like, Zach and I remember talking about it, and we were laying in bed one day, and I remember, like, saying, like, we can take the high road or we can take the low road, like, what are we going to do? And we said together, we're going to do our best to take the high road and come out of this as best we can. But, like, that still, doesn't, like, cancel out all of the trauma and you're
Mm,
not okay. So it took me a long time to go and get help, way longer than it should have. But I don't want people to be afraid to say, I'm not okay. Like, please go to your medical professionals, go to your doctors. Hopefully you have a good relationship with, your primary care doctors, or, I mean, your OBGYN. I really hope you have a great relationship, with them, because they understand women's mental health, and they
yeah.
can get you to somebody else. There's counselors, there's therapists who specialize in this type of things. Don't be afraid of, I don't be afraid to go on medication. Like, it's
Mhm,
out there for people that need it. And I think that just needs said. Like, it's okay not to be okay. It's
mm,
okay to have hard days. Actually, our good friend Heather Bryant was the one who I remember looking at me, and she said, it's okay to have hard days. Like,
yeah.
you don't have to be strong all the time. And I hope she remembers that,
Right now, I hope
herself,
she does
because
too. I know she's
yeah,
going through a hard time too. So, for sure, I
yep,
mean,
yep,
we pray for her, and, as we have for you. And
yeah, thank
it is okay to not be okay. And also, when you go through a loss like that, if you just skip
you.
off into the sunset, it's like, that's
Mhm.
not like, that's probably not what's gonna happen. So, your reaction to the trauma does
Yeah.
probably need therapy or
Oh my,
something more. And so I
yes,
always am amazed that mental health from person to person can seem so taboo to them. Like,
right.
they don't want to get the help. They think they can power through it. And
Yeah,
if you can, great. But there's no harm in just
yeah,
going to someone for therapy.
right.
You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. I so
Yeah,
appreciate you
it
saying.
was just it's been so this has been such a taboo topic for years of,
Yeah.
I mean, women have lost babies since the beginning of time. Like, and it was so taboo, and they were expected just to deal with it themselves. It was just part of life, kind of get up and move on with your
Yeah.
life. They weren't allowed to, like, be outspoken about it and to bring awareness. So that's why we feel it's so important, because, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be brought into, like, normal life, because it's something that happens to 1 in 4 pregnancies. So
Wow.
it's super important.
It is. So thank you for bringing that up too. Once again, you are adding value to this show because you're helping people, and that's what it's all about, find it here.
Yeah. Oh my.
Um, stick around because I want to talk to you a little bit in the virtual back room, but thank you. I love you.
Oh my
I
God, I
just
love you. Thank you so much. You have always, like, you yourself, Debbie, have always been such an inspiration to me. I
oh,
mean, just the kind-hearted, giving person that you were. I mean, girl, you did my hair and makeup for my freshman homecoming. Okay. Like you took a tomboy who was like, I mean, I was still stressing about it tonight.
You're
Like,
like,
God,
rub
I'm
some
standing with
dirt
her
in it.
doing my hair and makeup tonight because
Oh, that's so cute. Gosh, I
I know.
forgot about that. I
Yeah,
do that. Oh, that's
you have
fun.
been so supportive of me
Aw.
and my family and such a good friend. And I appreciate you so much for bringing me on here to be able to talk about this and hopefully just reach more people and, you know, get it out there, get us heard. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. You've been a complete delight and awesome in every way. So once again, it's the Aubreigh Gabriel Memorial.
You
And
bet.
it is a run to remember if you want to get involved in that or if you want to make a donation. Let's do it. Let's bring it. If it's $1, if it's $5, I mean, they don't
Yes.
care. It's going to a good cause. So that's amazing. Stick around and thank you all for joining us and share this out for people because a lot of people keep this type of thing held in into themselves. And if they know there's a resource that they can also be part of the group that have also experienced the loss that they have, that's worth sharing. So thank you all for being here. And I will see y'all again next week. Same time, different guest. Have a good night.
Thank you.
That floats around me, keeping